Hey, folks, it's that time. We're live. It's Lunch with Mal. Hope you guys are doing fab. It's been a pretty good week this week. Um, and sorry we missed last week. It was, the July 1st and July 4th holiday week, and I literally just forgot. So yeah, that's the thing that happened that I feel kind of bad about. So sorry about that. I didn't announce that it was happening or anything like that. But yeah, so I have a few topics today, but also Facebook is taking its sweet time letting people know that I'm here, which seems to be happening more and more lately. Facebook has gotten odd lately. I'm sure a lot of people have noticed that different things get bumped up than used to, and also like a lot. Well, if you're doing running ads, a lot of targeting options are entirely different as well. But it looks like some folks are here now on YouTube. So hey, YouTubey folks. Um, I know this is like also like super chill summertime, so I don't blame folks if you want to be out enjoying yourselves. Although it's kind of rainy here, and from what people back in Massachusetts have been saying, it's kind of rainy there as well. So, um, kind of from my mind, a great thing to do for the day. So I have a couple different things I want to talk about. One of them is a change that Facebook has made recently, where they're going to be removing a lot of targeting again. And this is something that just sort of seems to happen on the regular. Um, I don't know if new targeting is coming in. They rarely announce new targeting options, even though they do appear actually from time to time. They generally just announce when targeting options are going away. But something I have noticed is that a lot of author targets are going away, but they don't seem to have immediately been removed from all accounts. Like officially, the targets are going away in like January. Um, Thriller authors seem to be the ones I know got hit the most. But even right now, if you have an ad that's using these thriller author targets, um, you can't edit that ad. It'll throw an error. You have to remove those targets, even though they theoretically still work till January. It's kind of obnoxious. Came inside to cool down. Is it super hot in Pittsburgh, Rebecca? That's kind of how it goes, right? Though it's like you get those hot summer days, and then the rain shows up, which is always nice. Um, so yeah, so basically, Facebook is removing manual targeting options, and they're also making it like a little bit more obtuse to figure out how to use like manual targeting and not use their new Advantage Plus targeting. And I think it really is just a matter of time before they eventually just get rid of manual targeting entirely. The one thing that I'm kind of curious about is what they're going to do with gender-based targeting, because there's so many people who advertise products that are super gender-based, right? Like underwear. You kind of want to be art targeting, the right audience with the underwear. You don't want to advertise bras to men, and you don't want to advertise men's boxer shorts to women, at least not too much. I mean, some people do wear both, but there's some crossover, but generally speaking, your ads are going to work the best if you actually target properly. Um, so I really do wonder how Facebook's going to deal with that, because I think there'd be a pretty big hue and cry through a lot of their advertising base if they remove some of these options. But of course, that means that like what raises the question: what do we do? How hot is it, by the way, Rebecca? I'm curious how warm it is. It's one of the things about Nova Scotia. Even though we're only like a 6-hour drive north of Boston, it is considerably cooler. I think part of why it's so cool where we live is we're surrounded on both sides by ocean, um, which has a pretty big impact on the temperature. But Well, I think one of the biggest impacts that we're going to get out of all of the AI stuff that's being built into advertising, and not just Facebook, like across the board advertising, is that Jill sent me a message. I thought it was going to be about Lunch with Mel, but she said she's just going to go for a walk to the mailbox. She's not even here watching Lunch with Mel. Even Jill wants to get out and be doing summer things, which I don't blame her for. But what it really means as far as our ads are concerned is that we really have to focus more on the actual ad creative itself. The ad creative itself is going to be eventually 100% of what Facebook uses to determine who to show our ads to. So we're going to have to get Really good with making sure the imagery and the text that we use is spot on. And I almost start to wonder if we need to almost like write like in our ad copy, like down at the bottom, like, for fans of XYZ, or, if it's paranormal women's fiction, maybe like say, for women over 40 who love stories about ABC or something like that. Because I'm not sure I entirely trust the AI to always get, in fact, I never will trust the AI to always get it right when it comes to ad targeting. So I think we're really gonna start experimenting, and that's some of the stuff I'm gonna be doing soon is experimenting with being explicit in the ad copy. Because we've always one of the things I've always really pushed for is the ad copy is for the humans, but now the ad copy is for the humans and the AI. Like, and how do we make it do double duty? That's something we're gonna start figuring out. So, like, so 70, it was 73 when I was trying to get out, help my kids make some eggs. Now it's 79, 85 today, 90 tomorrow. Damn, that's up over 35 Celsius for those of you who use metric. That's gonna be a cooker. Um, so yeah, so that's some of the stuff that's going on. It shows my lipstick has completely come off in the middle, and that looks really weird. I also have a cold sore for some reason. All right, we won't worry about that. Anyway, um, I think that's one of the big topics right now is AI, right? Um, and I'm sure that people are almost tired of hearing about AI. And I'm kind of tired of hearing about AI, but I feel like I haven't talked about it in a while. There's some things I kind of want to go over. Um, some of the interesting things going on right now are the fact that people are increasingly able to get AI to spit out the source material that it has, and which we've been told for some time they don't actually retain the source material, but they seem to be in some cases, maybe not all cases, but in some cases. There's someone who got I think it was ChatGPT to spit out the first chapter of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, for example. Um, and whether or not that's actually going to stymie anything or not, I don't know, because if it's tricky, right? Because if laws are passed in one country to limit what AI can do and what it can be trained on, well, other countries aren't going to follow that. So no country wants to be at a competitive disadvantage, which I have not double checked the final tally, but the big beautiful bill, I believe, had either a 5 or a 10-year ban on limiting AI in the United States. So it's even if there's sort of legal challenges about copyright and stuff like that, it's probably going to have a minimal impact on what people do with AI because there's sort of like very strong government incentives to keep pushing AI pretty hard. So so it's not going anywhere. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't also suck. It's amazing and it sucks at the same time. It's Schrodinger's AI. It's good and awful simultaneously. If we open up the box, we'll find out for real which one it is. No, I mean, I think it could be. I actually don't like it for Facebook ad targeting, for example. I think it's made it harder. It's made it less predictable. It's made it less stable. It's made learning processes for ads take longer. I'm not super happy with it. I don't really see a need for me personally to have AI write my books, and I'm okay-ish with the fact that AI has been trained on my books. I'm not super keen on the fact that they trained AI on my books while not paying for my books. I actually think that training AI on author books should be basically they should have to buy a library style license, the same license that a library has to pay when they because libraries pay like $70 for like a book kind of thing or more. It's variable, but I think that AI folks should have to pay library pricing for our books to train on them. Um, but at the same time, like it's kind of here to stay, and it's getting pretty good at not hallucinating and interacting pretty well. I've been using Claude actually for social media strategies, and it's not like coming up with things I never thought of, but it's helping in outlining and creating social media strategies. So it's like here's all these things you can do. For me, I'm actually a very visual learner, so like seeing it written out actually helps me a lot. And then I can use that to copy and paste and put together a plan. And then I also I have Claude have access to the Google Doc that has the plan. And then every day Claude's like, how did we do on this thing? What did you do? And then that reminds me to record the metrics and stuff like that. So so it's actually pretty useful there. So it's it's impressive how rarely it hallucinates now for what I'm doing. But it also still has like huge fundamental flaws. Like you could go right now and ask any AI how many R's are in the word strawberry, and they can't get it right because they don't actually save the spelling of the word strawberry. They save tokens. There's a token that is strawberry. The token contains 0 R's. So the AI, like as much as you might think that like AI can assess and analyze, which it kind of can in some very uncanny ways, it also like it's in such a silo when it does it that you can't actually go and look and see that, oh, I can actually just look at the word strawberry and count the R's. Like it's not super intelligent in that regard. Dharma says, I doubled down on being trans in my direct sales Facebook ads, including the trans pride flag. Sales are booming. You know, Dharma, I'm a really big believer in owning your shit, right? Like I'm this weird ass girl who loves wearing latex and weird outfits and stuff like that. And I do better when I own it versus when I try to hide it, and try to make myself palatable to people. Because when I own it, I find the right people, right? And the right people are gonna see me and want to take part in whatever I got going on. And if I try to make myself palatable, then people are going to not take that long to figure out that I'm not actually what they're looking for in some way or other. So, and also like even that aside, the other angle is like when you just sort of like are upfront, super upfront with what your stuff is about, you get you get to be more enthusiastic. You get to be more emotional about it. You get to tap into things that you can't tap into if you're just sort of putting up a facade. So yeah, I think that's great advice for all authors is, you're writing weird ass hunting people down on an island romance, own it, put it out there. You're writing weird yellow jackets kind of fiction. Just come out and say it because you're going to find the right people. You're going to be able to send them the message that conveys or convey the message to them that converts the best. And they're also going to respect you for owning it. And that respect goes a long ways as well. So I think that's great. Oh, they did remove the AI laws restriction. I thought the Senate had just changed it from 10 years to 5 years. Well, I am super pleased that they removed that. I mean, take the win you can get, right? Rebecca says Claude is fun, but it's funny unless you're a software engineer. It's hard for people to grok what it's bad at. Yeah, that might be part of my advantage. I am, having worked with, I mean, I was working with machine learning language models as far back as 2010. And even then, probably the infancy of machine learning was around 2005. I wasn't super involved with it then, but I did a bunch of interactions with it back in 2010, some programming with it between 2010 and 2014. Actually, it's all up 2016 maybe. Um, so I kind of like, I know how to speak to it in a way that won't confuse it. So here's a thing, and this is not necessarily, well, I'll just come out and say it. There are certain people out there where if you say 5 things to them, they're going to respond to one. Um, and actually, this is not really a gender-based thing. It happens for men and women. It seems to happen a little bit more with men. But whenever I'm like doing customer service, if it's a woman, I can give her like I can come off and just like rattle off the 5 issues. If it's a guy, I can't. But that doesn't. It's not 100% true. Sometimes it swings the other way. There's women that I'll like rattle off 5 things and they address one thing, or you send someone an email and they respond to one thing in the email when you had 5 things in the email, kind of thing. AI is like that, right? Give it one thing, answer one question, try to keep your interaction with the AI as single threaded as possible, and it will do a lot better. So that's one of the things I do. So I actually, given that, knowing that like, okay, certain words might cause the AI to derail, like words like presentation, presentation could mean a thing that I'm presenting at a conference, and it could mean the way I'm dressed that day. What is my presentation? So I try to avoid words with wildly different double meanings, you know, um, and I'll just sort of spell things out as to what they are. And that seems to help keep the AI from going off the rails quite a bit as well. Um, but I do, I've I've never really been super against AI. I thought I figure like it's happening. It's going to be messy when it first comes out. In fact, that's why when I first started writing my books about the future, I skipped this period because I knew the AI revolution or evolution would be messy, and I didn't want to write about it because everybody writes about it, you know. But it's I resisted using it a lot for myself because like I'm super smart, I can do it myself. I'm like, you know what? I feel like I'm handicapping myself at a certain point. And there's some tools I can use that can help me out. And because I run Facebook ads for a living, I still hate AI on the daily because of how bad it is at things I used to do better myself. So I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid over here or anything like that. But I think my biggest personal problem with AI um, is I don't like the fact that the corporations all own it right now, and I'm still playing around with some options to try to spin up private AI. And to be honest, a lot of new devices that are coming out, especially things like the M4 Max, M4 Mac Mini, and stuff like that, and any new laptop with a Ryzen AI Max processor in it are actually capable of running some pretty hardcore AI stuff locally on your machine, on your device. And I think in the next like 3 or 4 years, that's going to become super common. And we're going to find that there's going to be a lot of options to actually run AI on our personal computers versus running it off in a computer run by some corporation where they're retraining their AI on everything that you run through it. Um, and having access to everything you say to it. I think that's going to be a pretty awesome thing actually when it comes to fruition. And that's something that I'm definitely going to be all about is running as much AI stuff as I can locally. And I think too, like environmentally speaking, it's really good too because the server farms that run AI are not great for the environment. But if we all sort of run AI on our own as we need it, we can sort of we can spread out the load and it can actually be pretty good. Jillian says my translation revenue has been down significantly. Have you seen this trend with other authors? There's rumblings is because of the influx of AI translated work. I mean, it's impossible for that not to have an impact, right, Jillian? Where's your translation stuff focus? Is it German, French, Spanish, Italian? Um, the reason I ask is I've been seeing that the German market has been getting saturated for a while now. Um, and like so even before so Germany, okay, yeah. So even before the influx of all the AI stuff, Germany has been getting saturated. Stuff that used to just like print money in Germany was winding down to just doing just okay. Um, so unfortunately, at the moment, because there's always more books, you know, um, finding new markets is kind of the way to go. So I would strongly consider recommend going into France. France is pretty hot right now, and even Italy and Spain are starting to pick up a bit. Um, Granted, it's expensive to do all of this, so you'd have to AI translate to be able to do this affordably. So you have to decide if that's something that you want to do or not. But it is sort of slowing down. Going wide be a good move. It depends on how much of your revenue is from KU and how much of a hit you can take. Because even if you go wide, it's going to take a while. And by while, I mean 6 months to sort of build yourself up on the wide platforms and also switch your Amazon readers from KU to paid, either trying to get some of them to switch for the upcoming books or find new Amazon readers who will pay for books versus read them in KU. So it'll take half a year to recover from going wide, in my experience. So you have to decide if that's something that you can absorb right now or not. And it's a lot of work to be wide because, like, say you wanted to like change your price, it can take you like an hour to change the price of a book. Um, it can take less time if everything goes swimmingly, but things don't always go swimmingly. You do open up the option of doing direct sales, like Dharma, who commented above, does direct sales, and I believe is doing well with them, and happy that she made that choice. Um, so I I would love a future where none of us were in KU, to be honest, and people just paid for books, um, or KU wasn't exclusive. I could settle for KU not being exclusive, but um, I think it's actually in a way kind of hurt all of us that so many people don't consider books to be things that they should pay money for. Although I think that's slowly changing because KU is getting a bit more expensive, and also the TV thing is changing. Like we all used to sort of be like, oh yeah, um, TV should be practically free. I should be able to pay $10 to Netflix and watch everything in the universe. And now Netflix cycles things in and out, and not everything's there, and everybody has their own streaming platforms. And we're all freaking paying as much as we were back when we were paying for cable. Um, except that they're also now showing us commercials on the things we're paying for. So we actually kind of like in the long run went backwards. We got some features like we can choose whatever we want to watch at any time. It's like now I'm paying for Amazon Prime and I'm watching commercials unless I pay extra for Amazon Prime. It drives me bonkers. But I do feel like to a certain extent that sort of reality check of, hey, content costs money to make, someone's got to pay for it. Maybe that will filter back into books and people will be like, oh yeah, I have to pay money to watch TV now again. So maybe people will be okay with paying a little bit more money for books. That'd be a nice future to live in. Rebecca says, I just got a Mac Mini. It's such a good deal price wise. Hubby's looking into it. If you can run a local Lambda AI. Yeah, you should actually be absolutely be able to do that. There's lots of tools for running local AIs and Lambda or Llama, probably Llama, right? Is a good one that you could run. I think there's actually a version of Claude, like an older version of Claude that you can get and run as well. But yeah, Mac. The downside of Mac Minis is they're really, really cheap unless you want to upgrade the storage or the RAM. But if you're okay with getting the base Mac Mini, it's an amazing machine for the price. It's a shockingly um, like powerful computer that is literally like I don't know, like the size of two ramen noodle packs on top of each other. Like it's not significantly larger than that. Um, so it's super cool, and that's sort of just like the first wave of these AI capable computers that we could all be running in our houses versus data centers just chewing through water like crazy. Yeah, that's Llama. Then Llama's the Facebook one. That's the one where they stole all of our books. So go and use it for free. Don't give Facebook any of your money because they stole our books to build Llama. Like literally stole them. They pirated our books to train Llama. Um, so yeah, I'm all for that. I do have to do a slightly shorter lunch with Mel because I have to run to a chiropractor appointment before too long. But if anybody has any topics that you guys want to chat about, feel free to drop them in there. Um, I had something else I want to say about AI. I'm trying to remember what it was now. Um, I am considering using AI as a first pass for editing now, and I'm to be honest, I'm like probably the last one doing this because and by AI I mean like pro writing aid or something like that, right? Because I've been so resistant to it for so long, partially because I had an editor like 9 years ago use run one of my books through pro writing aid and it just made a disaster of it, and I'm like, no, never again. So but I'm thinking now, like, you know what I need to do is I need to hand a cleaner book to a human editor so that they're not dealing with a lot of the crap that an AI could pick up, and I get a better edit out of my human editor so that they're not feeling like they're slogging through it all. So Jill's convinced me to finally go and do that, to actually go and use AI for that sort of thing. So that's one of my concessions that I've been making. But yeah, I do have to admit I'm actually pretty happy with Claude. I am paying for it because then you can use what's called their workspace system. You can create like a workspace and you can upload a bunch of files into it and you can interrogate it. It's significantly better than it used to. I played around with it, I want to say about 2 years ago. Um, and it would actually only read like about the first 2,000 words of anything you put into it. So if you tried to upload a book into it, then ask it questions about your book, it would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it would like just give you some answers from the first part of the book. Um, I've been playing with like one of my books that's 110,000 words, and I put that into it and I asked it some questions about the characters, and it gave me an answer. And I was like, that doesn't seem like they read the whole book. And I'm like, and I had just uploaded the book, so it's entirely possible the AI actually hadn't processed the whole thing yet. And so I said, and so that was just the beginning of the book. What about later on? And then it did. It gave me like it cited a bunch of examples from throughout the book of different things that answered the question I was asking. And then I asked it, what is the main character's eye color? And the AI correctly answered that the book never says what the main character's eye color is. So it wasn't defaulting just making shit up, which I was pretty pleased with as well. So, and that's actually, to be honest, that is going to finally solve the Bible problem for me because I have so many books. Um, it's exhausting to try and research them all the time. Downside is that the project size for AI is small enough that I cannot load all my books into it. One of my novels takes about 8% of the project capacity. But if you had like a trilogy or even like 5 or 6 books, it would probably be fine. For me, with all my books, it wouldn't work, but I could possibly do one per series and get something working that way. Or possibly like have it like write summaries of each book and then load the summaries into like a big meta thing. I'd be playing around with that. 'Cause if I can finally solve this, I don't have a Bible for my books thing. It didn't used to be such an issue when I was younger, but as I'm getting older, remembering everything that I wrote is getting to be really hard. Rebecca says, I definitely had pro writing aid introduce errors that my editor has to undo, but I'm not saying it's not worth it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's actually a good way of putting it. One thing I do have to figure out how to deal with is I use non-standard punctuation in my books, and I have to see if I can convince pro writing aid or whatever I end up settling on to sort of accept that. Because I use a mixture of American and British punctuation, and I use a mixture of American, Canadian, and British spellings because I want to torture myself. Yeah, I was really impressed with that too, Rebecca, that it didn't make up an eye color for my character, and it correctly said that it wasn't in the text. Because that's been one of the tests that has always failed. Whenever I've tried this in the past, it's always failed. It always made up an eye color for the character. Jillian says, my memory is definitely getting trickier. I have a dog in almost half of one of my books and can't remember any of their names. Oh my God. Yes. I also have this one character named Jeffrey, and I swear, I think I've spelled his name every possible way that you can spell Jeffrey over the times. He only kind of pops in every now and then, and I always kind of forget what the spelling is. I'm like, oh, I'll go check later, and I never do. And if I could just say to an AI, how the hell do I spell Jeffrey? You know, then, then it would totally solve my problem. But I haven't done that. So yeah, so this is I remember when I first heard about this concept close to 20 years ago now. It kind of horrified me. And what they were talking about was the external brain, that this device here um, would become our external brain. And back in 2005, I mean, that was before the first iPhone even came out, right? I was like, there's no way. Um, but it's definitely become true, right? That we have the brain inside our heads, and we have the external brain. Um, and it's kind of weird because the external brain has enhanced our power so much, right? Like it used to be that, like, I mean, I don't know what the chemical symbol for methane is, but now that I have access to my external brain, I can look that up anytime. Or like, where's the closest waterfall to where I am right now? Well, that would have taken some significant research back in the day. And now it's pop open my external brain, it has the answer. So it's like vastly increased the power that any one of us has, from like a information and computation standpoint, but it's decreased the power of the brain inside our heads, um, which is something I worry about a lot. I don't exactly know how I wandered off on that tangent, but there it is, the concept of the external brain. I guess the next external brain is our AI, and eventually I think we're actually all gonna. I'll be shocked if in 5 years we don't have the ability to have an AI assistant that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Like right now, when you fire up a conversation with an AI, it's always in a silo, right? Like it doesn't have context outside of what was in that conversation. And each conversation is just bubble. And then eventually the AI breaks down, hallucinates, and can't continue. And you have to kill the chat and start a new one. That takes longer than it used to. Like it used to be like AI would do that half the time, like after 5 responses, it would be dead. But eventually we're going to have an AI that is not in this one silo. It's going to have our entire lives and everything we have going on as its context. And that's going to be pretty wild in a way, that we're going to have an actual external brain that's going to be working with us on everything. But then the other part of me says, what about the internal brain? Like how we're going to weaken that because it's not going to have to do certain types of cognition. But on the flip side, the human brain is actually very adaptable at optimizing the things that it needs to do. So what we're probably going to do is get really good at processing information and then feeding it to our AI and then evaluating the response and determining what we should do. It's going to change how we think. But that's like a whole other segue. But anyway, I do have to run now though, because I have to go off to my chiropractor appointment. But it was lovely with chatting with everybody. I'm glad that Facebook and YouTube figured out that I was actually live streaming and put it in front of people. Oh, Jillian says, random ad question. Should I wait until tomorrow to update ads? Um, no, no, I don't think that would matter. In fact, generally speaking, you don't want to make ad changes too much on Fridays because Friday, you don't want to kick your ad into a learning phase over the weekend. You want to have regular behavior patterns from people, which is Monday through Friday mostly. When you make your ad changes, so I would actually make your ad changes today and not tomorrow. That way, they'll be done their learning phase hopefully by tomorrow morning. Many changes you make, and then they'll operate properly over the weekend versus putting them into learning phase on the weekend. So that's how I roll with it. Okay, well, thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. I loved seeing you, and I hope you guys have a fabulous weekend. And I hope wherever you are, it's not too hot or too muggy or too rainy. I hope it's just like a nice summer weekend. We'll see you around.